The member for Leppington.
Thank you, Speaker. And can I also acknowledge Mr. Bryce, as a former student of Bonnering High School and with 2 kids there currently, has done a fantastic job. The building industry, one of the cornerstones of our economy, has long been beset with dodgy dealings, corruption and blatant disregard for safety and ethical standards. However, if we expect to clean up the industry with some old-fashioned union bashing, we are delusional. To ignore the rest of the industry is disingenuous and does a disservice to the community. A cancer can only be genuinely cured when we rid it from the entire body. Let me be crystal clear. I have zero tolerance for corruption and criminality anywhere. My record as a councillor and my time in this place makes that very evident. But despite the many column inches, primetime exposés and hot air from the shock jocks, we see bad actors cutting corners, bending the rules and putting profits ahead of people across the entire construction industry, and that's right across the world. The word Grenfell is permanently etched into our collective consciousness. What was once the name of an unassuming tower block in London is now a symbol of greed, incompetence and lack of oversight in the building industry, and the tragic location where 72 lives were lost. The inquiry into Grenfell recently handed down its final report. Chair Sir Martin Moore-Bick stated, "The simple truth is the deaths that occurred were all avoidable." The inquiry put the blame squarely at the feet of systemic dishonesty by multi-million-dollar companies and decades of failure by governments. It is a morbid reminder of what happens when you allow weak regulations to go unchecked and unchallenged in the absence of a strong union movement. Thankfully, we have not seen a similar tragedy here, but we do continue to deal with the fallout of flammable cladding, and the names like Opal and Mascot Towers point to local consequences of weak regulation and corner cutting. In recent years, we've seen stories of dodgy certifiers, the exploits of Jean Nassif and the firebombing of Friendly Geordie's home. Last month, a Sydney property developer was exposed in a damning case of money laundering linked to a tax avoidance scheme, ultimately being forced to repay $11 million. Just this week, The Guardian revealed 2 individuals convicted of dishonesty offences that have been allowed back into the industry, real estate industry, well within the usual 10-year prohibition. Gaps in the law have also allowed convicted money launderers back into the industry. Hundreds of complaints were lodged involving agents operating without a licence, and investigators found multiple agents selling properties without being listed on public registers. My own community of Leppington, which has shouldered a significant share of the state's housing growth, has not been spared the horror stories. My office has been inundated with reports of shonky builders, one of which I'll have more to say about soon. The government acknowledged this last November when, along with the Premier, the Minister and the Building Commissioner, I was there and announced an expansion of the Building Commissioner's powers within Leppington. While these important changes were in response to past scandals, they also have an eye on the future. As the Premier said at the time, we're delivering more homes across the state, but we won't let quantity get in the way of quality. Tackling the housing crisis is one of the cornerstones of this government's agenda. TODs, first home buyer grants, more rights for renters, reforms to the planning process and the biggest investment in social housing we've ever seen will ensure people wanting to enter the housing market can. However, we've also recognised this will increase the need to keep shonks out of the industry. But the government cannot do this alone. Unions play a crucial role in holding the industry to account. They advocate for safer working conditions, fair wages and high standards in construction. Without the strength of organised labour, there is little to no counterbalance to the power of the almighty dollar that many developers flagrantly wield. We must stamp out corruption and criminality across all elements of society, including the entire building industry. We must also hold everyone to the same standards, whether they wear a hard hat on a construction site or an Armani suit in the boardroom. The building industry must be cleaned up from top to bottom, and that means better regulation, a commitment to putting people before profit, and most importantly, strong, reputable unions.